Hey guys, it's Ryan here with HobbiesofaMan once again, and today we are doing another haul video for the month of July. Now, this was the month that I was born in, so I actually ended up getting a lot of this stuff as gifts. Actually, most of it I got as gifts, but I did end up buying some of it for myself, and I will also talk about some of the stuff that I actually got sent to me by companies / organizations / authors when that comes up. So I'll mention that as it comes up, but let's just get started here. So I will start with Miscellaneous, then we'll move on to Manga, then we'll move on to novels, and then we'll move on to comic books there at the end. So feel free to skip through whatever section you like. So in terms of Miscellaneous, we do have something that's related to comic books, and that would be these little trading card game packs here. So this is the Massiveverse fighting card game. This is a starter pack, and this collects 2 complete decks apparently. So it really is the size of a booster pack like you can get for Pokemon or Yu-Gi-Oh! Or Magic. It's about 30 cards, I guess, maybe in here. And it seems to have something that is not a card, but I'm not really sure what it is. And I did end up getting 2 of these. I think I was only supposed to get 1, but I did get 2. But actually, that's good for me because I can keep one of them sealed and I can have one to show off. And I will do a video for this when the time comes. I'm not really sure if I'll get someone to play it with me or if I'll just show you kind of like in a setup like this and show you what the cards would look like facing off against each other. But you can buy these starting in August. They're $5. And here is a QR code if you want to learn how to play. It says right there, learn to play. And here is the information that you need for this starter pack. And like I said, they're $5. They should be available at different game stores, but I'm not really sure which ones. And that was sent to me by Solis Game Studio. And I guess through them, I technically got something from Image because this is based on Image licenses or IP under the, what is it called? It's Kyle Higgins' thing. So the Massiveverse is this, like the superhero, like Power Rangers type thing, but his company or like his imprint is called something else, Black Box Narrative maybe. I'm not really sure, but there you go. That's Massiveverse fighting card game. Then one of my roommates for my birthday gave me this, and this box has inside of it this fun little paperweight, and this is what the box looks like. I think he got this for me at Kinokuniya, and I actually really like this. It's not a figure per se, but it is figure-like, so you can put this anywhere you want. I usually put it on a bookshelf here in the living room, and every time I walk by it, I go and mess with it because I really love seeing how this works. I just like the wave thing. I think it's 2 different not oils, I was gonna say oils, but it is 2 different liquids and they have different densities, so that's why they're separated. And with all the shaking, you can kind of make them bubble. And when that happens is you get this kind of like sea foam kind of vibe to it. And you have Luffy there on the Thousand Sunny just riding the waves, right? And it's really fun. I quite like this. And I actually like this a lot as a ornament for your desk. I think it's great. I'm looking at internships right now, and if I end up landing one, I'll probably put that on my desk as a decoration because I think it's really fun. And I'll leave that there in the background so you guys can see that. So moving on from that to some of the other Miscellaneous type stuff, here we have Dan. This is not the first anime I own, but it's definitely the first anime that I remember like going out of my way to pick up. I have some. I think my friend Darth Pan gave me an anime a long time ago, and then I end up getting my hands on a few anime movies, which I guess count, but this is the first proper anime. This is a full season, and this is the Dan collector's edition, I guess. It's not a steelbook or anything like that, but it is kind of special. Here's the bonus materials that are featured inside this. Here's what the thing actually features. I'm gonna focus, hopefully. Well, I hope you can see it well enough. And here's what the bonus features are that are like, because this is a deluxe edition, right? It says 32-page art book, some cards, a sticker, some interview stuff, and that's really great. My sister got this for my birthday. It's discounted on Amazon right now. I can't remember exactly how much it costs, but it's definitely cheaper than buying it from, what's the name? Crunchyroll. So I recommend you guys do that. But yeah, there you go. That's Dan. Very excited to open that up at some point and watch it. Although I don't really need to. It's technically available on Netflix, but you know, it is what it is. And then here's the last bit of the miscellanea here. So we have some figures. My sister got these for me for my birthday. So as you can see, she purchased them at Ross, and that's because when we moved into this new apartment that we live in now, we were going down to Ross to look at some stuff. Our parents were up here because they were helping us set up. And while we were at Ross, my sister was looking at stuff. I went down to the toy section and I ended up finding these figures, and I grabbed them because I was going to buy them for myself. My mom was like, dude, stop wasting your money. That's kind of stupid. And, you know, most of the time they're very supportive of my hobbies and they don't mind me buying all this stuff, right? But my mom was like, dude, you have other stuff to worry about right now. Don't buy this, right? And my sister saw that and she was like, well, I guess I'll buy you these for your birthday alongside a few other things that you want from your wish list, right? And so I ended up getting my hands on these, and they're very, very good. They're quite fun. Although I do recommend that if you buy these, to definitely get them at less than cover price or less than their MSRP, which should be about $28. And the reason for that is because these figures are great. They look really nice, especially when you get them together, because they are supposed to be a set, right? That's what they're supposed to look like. But because they are supposed to be a set and because they have these special bases, they're actually smaller than your average like DXF figure. So Goldie Roger ends up being about a 5-inch figure, and this one is about an 8-inch figure, which is about accurate, right, for Edward Newgate or for Whitebeard. But they are smaller than you would anticipate them being based on the box size. And so you're maybe going to feel some level of disappointment if you're not prepared for that, right? And I definitely think that they're maybe not worth their actual cover prices of $30 a piece, but for $20, I think it's acceptable, right? Especially since I got them as a gift, so I didn't even have to buy them. So just keep that in mind when you're looking at this stuff, and just remember that next time you buy them. So yeah, that's it for the miscellanea. Let me move this to the side here. Maybe this way so you guys can still see it, but it's not kind of the main focus. And let's get started with manga and manga related stuff. So to get started, we have a magazine. This is Otaku USA. This got sent to me in the mail because I purchased a subscription, and it was kind of not in great shape. I mean, it's not bad by any means, but it's definitely not in the best shape possible. Let me move this down a little bit so you guys can see it. It has some damage here and there. It has some water damage in the back. And it's not great, but it's not bad. However, this issue was not very enjoyable to me. Nothing about the articles in this one were very interesting to me. Nothing really stood out. So it wasn't great, but it wasn't bad. It is what it is. That's what you pay for when it comes to magazines. Not every issue is going to hit, right? So it is what it is. Not a big deal. Let's see. Moving on from that, let's look at the actual manga here. So let's start with the biggest one, and that is Vinland Saga, number 14. I bought this for myself. It was $18, and I think it's still $18 right now if you want, which is about a 20% discount-ish, something like that. Maybe less than that, 19% or maybe 24%. I can't remember. But it is a discount, and I recommend you guys pick it up. It's great. This seems to be the Native American arc here, the end of this, I think. There's only supposed to be one more book after this, I guess. So, because Vinland Saga did just finish its run in Japan, and it'll probably be a few months before we get the last issue, but it should come out here soon. And this is what the artwork looks like if you want. But yeah, I'm not going to say too much about it because this is kind of deep in the ending there of Vinland Saga. So that's book 1. Book 2 is Delicious Dungeon number 7. I also ended up buying number 9, but it hasn't arrived yet, so that'll be featured in the next haul. But I am slowly but surely going to finish collecting this series by the end of the year, which is great. This still covers stuff that is in the anime, so this is mostly the Ice Golem stuff and some of the stuff inside the like village, and then the stuff with Senshi and his origin story, right? That's what we saw here at the back. So very good issue, volume, sorry. The thing I don't like about these is that it's clearly too skinny for what the cover image was supposed to be, unless they're supposed to look like that, which I doubt. And it's kind of annoying. So I don't love that, but it is what it is. Just how it goes sometimes. Then we have Blue Lock. My sister got this for me, but it wasn't for my birthday. It was for something else. I think it's because she owed me some money for something I'd bought her, and she just got this for me because it was about the same price. It was about $10 when she bought it, because we bought it online, And this is good stuff. This is a new neo-egoist saga or arc or whatever you want to call it. This character here is Kaiser, and he looks really badass and very cool. The thing is that there is a little bit of damage there. There seems to be some sort of cut. And, I was going to complain about it and try to get it replaced, but ultimately I decided that it's not that big a deal. If it bothers me later, I will complain about it and hopefully get it replaced, but it's not really that big of a deal at the moment. Then my other old roommate and my other best friend moved back to Houston recently, and so we didn't get to share birthday, wishes in person, but we did send each other some gifts, and this is what he got me. So here's Chojin X, and the reason he got me Chojin X is because he's a big fan of Sui Ishida's work, especially Tokyo Ghoul, but I think he does say that Chojin X is better. But every time he talks to me about it, I'm like, yeah, I'll read it eventually, and then I never do because I'm not really that interested in Sui Ishida's work. And especially because it's really accessible, and it's so accessible that I don't really have to bother reading it. Whereas if I had owned it, I would have probably read it even if I didn't like it because I had it, right? Physically, and it was like taking up space, and I would need to read it so I could get rid of it. And so he was like, okay, this is my moment. And so he got me Chojin X, and he got me 5 volumes of it so that I would read it. Now that I have to, now that I own it physically, there is no excuse for me to not read it. And hopefully I will soon. So here's Chojin X number 1. I love this cover here. He keeps telling me that it's a series that's kind of similar to X-Men in the sense that there's a bunch of characters and they all have different powers and they come together, and I guess they're supposed to be heroes. I'm not really sure, but it seems like it's some sort of thing like that. But I'm not really sure if that's true, right? Being a super powered creatures and it's all cracked up to be, I guess that's true for the X-Men. Tokyo, funny name for a character from Japan. It's like if you were called Dallas, which I guess people are, so whatever. Has to hide his transformation from his family and dodge a truancy charge at school, all while dealing with increasingly odd incidents happening around town. Pretty interesting. And here you go. That's book 1. Here's book 2 in a beautiful blue. Love that. I do like these covers though. This like blue, or like this background square with a single color, and then the character playing off of it is really good. It looks very artistic. I like it a lot. Here's number 3 with yellow. Interesting character there. Number 4. This guy looks creepy as fuck. I guess he's wearing some sort of mask on top of his face. And here's number 5. And this one does look really awesome. I do like this a lot. Love the red color there. So yeah, not really sure about this. I will try to read it soon just so I can get some videos out for it. But I'm not sure when. So we'll see. I think that's it for the manga. So let's move on to the books. There's 3 that I want to talk about today. So one of them was sent to me digitally by the creator, Devin Hex. And it's a lit RPG, sorry, it's not a lit RPG. It's a harem-lit isekai novel, or portal fantasy, whatever you want to call it. Here's what it looks like on screen now. And he sent it to me because it released this month, so I recommend you guys go check it out. It is a really enjoyable novel. I've read through 50% of it, and it's quite good. If you're a fan of traditional fantasy stuff, like guy chosen to be king, but isn't actually part of the kingdom, has to go on a quest to go get his kingdom. If you like that sort of stuff, you should read this. It's really enjoyable. The harem-lit aspects are pretty minimal throughout the vast majority of the first half of the book, although the part that I'm in is when the harem-lit aspects are starting to become more prevalent. And I think that this is a good entry way into the harem-lit genre, but it maybe isn't necessarily a novel that fits into the established understanding that harem-lit fans would have, right? And so just the way that it's written is a bit different. It doesn't have that kind of pulpy, quick to get to the action kind of vibe. This is a very slow burn in terms of the romance, and it's a slow burn in terms of the storytelling. It's a bit more similar to traditional fantasy or maybe a lit RPG type thing where there's a bit of grinding to be done before the character can go off and do his adventure, right? And so I recommend you guys check it out. I think it's fun. But I wonder how the harem-lit audience is going to really pick up on this book, right? So we'll see. So that's one book. A second book that was sent to me by an author, and a different one this time, is this book here called The Dark Song, Matthew E. Johnson. And I guess it was technically sent to me by Matthew E. Johnson, but it was through his editor, who's a guy I met last year at the Howard Days, and I met him this year again, and he was talking to me and a few other people about the book. And it came up that, I was a YouTuber. Well, I mean, he was aware of that already, but, he kind of thought about it for a bit, and he was like, oh, I should send you this book that my friend has worked on, right? And so I agreed, and he sent it to me, and Matthew E. Johnson was actually also nice enough to write me a handwritten letter, and he sent it to me, and it even had like a special, wax stamp and everything. It was a very nice, thought-out gift, and he did sign this for me. I won't show it to you because it has my real name on it, so prefer to avoid that, but yeah, seems interesting. Nice cover there. It clearly not AI, which is wonderful, and it's pretty simple, but it looks good. It is a hardcover, although it is art on board, which is not necessarily my favorite. And the story, I'm not really sure what it's about, to be honest with you. It is supposed to be a sword and sorcery-esque type story. It's supposed to be a fantasy with some horror elements, and I think that that's what that's about. Here you can read what it is if you want to. And I'm looking forward to reading this. I'm not really sure when I'll review it, but I will try to review it as soon as possible. So there's that. And then the Robert E. Howard Foundation Press, I guess is really what they are. The Foundation Press did end up sending me this. This is Robert E. Howard's Swords of the North, featuring the complete tales of Cormac MacArt and James Allison. These two characters are characters that are important to the Robert E. Howard mythos, but are not necessarily the top billing characters, and so they rarely get any love, right? And then you have the Robert E. Howard Library Book 9. So I think that the first 8 are supposed to be the Del Rey collection, and then this would be the next one up, right? At least I think that's how that works. I'm not really sure. I'll have to ask the Foundation Press about that and clarify that later. But here's what the book is supposed to be about. Robert E. Howard. And here are the books or the stories that are inside this. So we have an introduction by Rusty Burke, leader of the Foundation. Then we have Niflheim, that's a poem. Frost King's Daughter, that's a different version of the Frost Giant's Daughter. Valley of the Worm there is kind of one of the most important stories that we see from James Allison. Marches of Valhalla is pretty good too. Kings of the Night is supposed to be very important as well. And then we have The Gods of Balsagoth. I think that's important to the narrative that Titan Comics and Heroic Signatures are trying to build up through Jim Zub's storytelling. So you guys should probably read that as well. And here's some other stuff included in the book. So there you go. Here's what the book looks like. It is print on demand, but it doesn't have that usual kind of like not quite up to par feel. But the cover does have a different texture from your usual. It has like more texturing to it than normal. It feels like maybe the plastic that they used isn't as thick or something, and so it's still shiny and glossy, but you can still feel the paper underneath, which is not necessarily a good or a bad thing. It's just a little bit different, so you can kind of feel that it's not a traditionally published book, but it is still very, very nicely done. And this cover here is awesome by Mark Wheatley. Very, very nicely done. There you go. That's not Conan, but kind of Conan. So yeah, and this is obviously about the Frost King's Daughter. So yeah, that is it for that. Let's rework this a little bit. Let me move this way and center it a bit more, because I will be talking about the comic books and I'll just place them here in the middle. So let's start with the collected editions. We have The Goddamned by Jason Aaron. I guess this is supposed to be a Cain and Abel based type story, and I bought it because it was $5, and it was also by Jason Aaron, who is a pretty good sword and sorcery-esque author. So I picked it up because I like his work, and I think that it'll be interesting to look at. And I guess this is supposed to be like religion-based, but I'm not really sure if it really is. So there you go. Cain, son of Adam, inventor of murder, cursed by God, the closest thing this doomed world has to a savior. Very cool, very interesting sounding. And the artwork here is pretty cool by, let's see, R.M. Guerra Guerra, I guess, and Giulio Brusco. So that's one collected edition. Here's another one. This is kind of in a similar vein. Kesar, Savage Dawn. This is by Jones and Anderson. I guess this is a new version of a Kesar story, but it has this very old school vibe to it. So I'm not really sure if this is a reprinting of an old story or if this is a new story that they did a retro style for. I'm not really sure. But I did like the style. I like the artwork. And Kesar is supposed to be like a Tarzan-esque character. So I picked it up. It was also $5, which is a significant discount, I think, because this was supposed to be a $16 book. So very happy about that. I picked both of these up from a movie trading company, which is kind of like a half-price books, but for movies. We have Understanding the Invisible Art of Comic Books, or Comics, by Scott McCloud. I bought this because during Prime Day, there was a nice discount on it. And I'm not really sure what this book is about. I know it's about comic books, but I'm not really sure what it's about specifically, right? But I know that it's an important book that a lot of people talk about in terms of understanding the art that goes into this, right? So I picked it up. I guess it's supposed to be a print-on-demand type book or something, because it does kind of have like a less than, premium feel to it. Like the cover has a nice matte texture to it, and it's, enjoyable, and it's not grippy, but it's not slides off your hand either. But it's cut incorrectly on both sides, and it does feel kind of weird. The paper stock is nice though, so I will read this soon, but I don't know if I'll do a review for it. I don't necessarily think it's important to do so. I'm sure there's a lot of other people that have done the reviews for it. So there you go, that's that. And then here is the last thing that my sister got me for my birthday this year. This was Superman Up in the Sky, a Tom King, Andy Kubert joint, and it's pretty cool. So I've not read it yet, but I understand what the story is about. This was published during the COVID days. So this was supposed to be published through Walmart, I think, so that people could pick up comic books even though they couldn't travel to the comic book store. And the story, I think, is supposed to be basically the 12 labors of Superman as he goes through this adventure to try to save this girl. I think that's what that's about. And I wouldn't necessarily say I'm a Tom King fan, although I do have a lot of Tom King books. So we'll see. But it was a nice Superman book. I thought it was a nice book to read during the summer of Superman. And I didn't get around to it, this month in July, but I will probably get around to it in August. So I will read this soon. It's not a very long book, but it's a nice, edition. I like this oversized format as well. So that's it for the collected editions. Let's look at the singles here, and let's start with the biggest ones that I have. So here we have Superman Treasury Edition 2025, A Hero for All. This is a great book. If you guys did not get this and you have a chance to pick it up, I recommend you do. It's wonderful. I had to go buy a special bag and board for it on eBay. It was $8 for a pack of 3, which is not too bad. Not great, but it is what it is. But this is a great book. I really, really enjoyed it. I did a review for it, so you guys can see what it's like, in that video. But it's a wonderful story. It really is about Superman. It shows you how important Superman is to the DC world and his values and how it affects other characters. And it's a great story. Bruno Redondo does most of the work here, and the artwork is phenomenal. I really, really enjoyed it. And also the size just makes it so cool because the splash pages are freaking awesome, right? So there's that. Then we have Savage Sword of Conan, number 9. This is a great issue, actually. So there's 2 stories here. The first story is by Pat Searcher, and it was a Conan and Valeria story. Freaking awesome. Knocked it out of the park. The second story wasn't that good. It was a Cole story, but it was pretty interesting because of the kind of political messaging that it has and how it affects our modern world. So I like that. I thought that was enjoyable. And then we have a big ass stack of single issues that are normal size. So here we have Trinity, Daughter of Wonder Woman. Pretty good book. I love this cover style. And Belen Ortega's artwork is just freaking awesome. I love it. We have Lilith, number 4. Pretty good cover there. The artwork here is pretty good as well, but I don't really have too much to say about the story itself. At this point, I'm just collecting it because it's almost done. Then we have Ultimate Spider-Man number 18. Great story there. I know that the story is coming to an end with issue 24, and I think that's a bit of a shame, but also kind of understandable. Godzilla vs. Thor, probably the second best out of these Godzilla versus character books. The first one, or my favorite one, was X-Men, although I think most people will probably say that this one's better. Then we have a Marvel must-haves. This is a free book that they give you in order to draw some interest into stories. So we have Fantastic Four 575. This is obviously to tie in with the movie. Wolverine Revenge and Storm number 1. Storm is fine. Don't really care too much about that one either way. The Wolverine story was interesting, but I know that it's actually not very good because I listened to Sal from Comic Pop talk about it. And then the Fantastic Four book was also pretty enjoyable, but it wasn't necessarily my favorite thing ever. It was just like, okay, I liked it. It was fun. I'm not going to pick up any of the books that are, seen here, but I did enjoy reading it. So there's that. Conan number 22. Awesome Dan Panosian cover here with the beautiful orange and red. Very nice. Solomon Kane number 4. This is the end of the series, but Solomon Kane will return. There will be more stories for him in the future. I think that there is going to be an ongoing series starting, which is great. Maybe not necessarily great for my wallet, but it is great that he will get some recognition. Here we have Marvel Swimsuit Special, Friends, Foes, and Rivals. I guess the Rivals bit is just because Marvel Rivals is a big deal now, so that it would show up on their on like search engine optimization, I guess. This is not a good story, but the artwork is pretty good in general, and this cover was awesome as well. So it's worth buying it, but it's not necessarily worth paying full price for it. Wacky Races, not a bad book, not a great book. I thought it was fine. I do love this cover though, so I'm very happy about owning it at the very least. Justice League number 8, the end of the We Are Yesterday storyline, or basically near the end there. Great cover here. The story itself isn't really the best. It was fine. Not too bad, not too good. Just kind of, it is what it is. Absolute Superman number 9, very good. I did enjoy this a lot. There's kind of a reveal here where Ra's al Ghul apparently is the main villain for Superman. Kind of interesting. Not really sure why, but also seems cool. And it seems like he thinks Superman is his son, which is interesting. So we'll see how that plays out. Zatanna number 6, beautiful cover here. I did want to get the Frank Cho variant, but it wasn't able to be ordered for me on time. It is what it is. It kind of sucks. But Frank Cho's covers, go for pretty limited print runs as far as I understand. I'm not really sure if that's true or not, but that's what I've heard. And this book was great. I really enjoyed Jamal Campbell's work. I do hope he comes back next year for another series, and that this eventually gets collected in a nice deluxe edition. Transformers number 22, great issue. Didn't love this cover though, so it is what it is. Witchblade number 12, great issue here. The ending of this was phenomenal. Very, very enjoyable. Very nice, very cool, interesting cliffhanger. Ghost Pepper, this is a new series. Love the artwork here. Ludo Lullaby is a creator that is very interesting. He has done a lot of work for a lot of different IP, and he finally ended up getting himself a comic book series. And this comic book series is kind of interesting. It echoes a lot of different things that I've seen in my life. A lot of French style animation, because Little Lullaby is French. It also has a specific kind of like feel of like 80s manga or anime. And it also has this kind of nice post-apocalyptic kind of space odyssey, space opera kind of vibe to it as well. So it has a lot of inspirations from a lot of different places. And it's also a comic book series that deals with food, and at least, tangentially. So I'm looking forward to reading more of it. I really, really enjoyed it. And this first issue is oversized, so it's really nice as well. Heat Seeker number 1. This is fine. This is an Art Germ cover, and maybe the worst one he's ever done, at least based on what I've seen from him before. I mean, good for Hard Case Crime for getting this, for Titan Comics to be able to afford him, but also maybe they should have requested a bit more from him, especially because this lighting makes it harder to see the character. So it almost looks like she's not very well, polished. It almost feels like it was a way to avoid having to finish up the rendering process, which kind of sucks. It was Justice League Unlimited, We Are Yesterday Epilogue. This was really good. Dan Mora did all of the artwork here, and it was awesome. It looks really great. Very much looking forward to seeing what happens next in the Justice League Unlimited, and I'm happy that we're done with the We Are Yesterday storyline. Wonder Woman 23, not a bad cover. Pretty good. I like the muscle definition on Wonder Woman. I like the baby. It looks cute and also kind of creepy. But the storyline that we're doing right now, the Mouse Man stuff, not a fan. It's kind of stupid, and it's just not very enjoyable. But it seems like Ida or whatever her name is, like Wonder Woman's friend, is going to show up, which is nice. We have Godzilla Destroys the Marvel Universe. This is a great cover. It's a wraparound. It looks really beautiful, very enjoyable. But the interior work, like the artwork is good, but Gary Duggan's writing is a bit weird. Like, it almost feels like he's going out of his way to make the Marvel characters look worse than they usually do. Because my understanding is that the Marvel characters right now are usually not perceived the best, especially by, the in-world characters, but also from readers. Readers seem to not really like what's going on in the Marvel Universe right now. And Gary Duggan is choosing to make the characters look kind of stupid and act kind of stupid and kind of afraid of Godzilla in a way that doesn't really make sense for them. Like, they fought Galactus, the imminent death of the universe, the God Butcher, like all these characters. It feels kind of weird that they would also be afraid of Godzilla in the way that they are. And they end up coming off like kind of stupid and weird, and it just feels off that the company is releasing a story where their own characters look stupid and bad. So I don't know, I'm kind of confused about that, but overall, it was still enjoyable to read. It was just kind of like off-putting in some ways. Like some of the dialogue and some of the character expressions just felt wrong, in my opinion. So it is what it is. But yeah, that concludes the haul video. So let me know what you thought. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know what you picked up this month. What was your favorite thing that you bought? And I'll see you guys in the next video.